Hello, welcome again. The last book review for today, for the next couple weeks probably. And this isn't exactly a book, it's a graphic novel. And people are saying, oh no, comics, graphic novels, it's not a true art form. Yeah, that's wrong. There's crap in every genre. There's crap in every art form. There's like tons of crappy books out there. There's tons of crappy movies. But this is not a crappy graphic novel. And this is not your superhero novels or anything like that. This is Mouse by Art Spiegelman. This is amazing. It was up for a Pulitzer Prize. I don't remember if it won. I think it did. I had to read this for my cultural studies class. And I'd already read it. I read it maybe, in 93, 94. Just because, I've always been a huge comics fan. And I love independent comics. And I love, new type of comics. And I picked this up. But then I had to read it again for my cultural studies class. So I felt it would be a good one to put out for my book reviews. This is a graphic novel that basically details the author's father's surviving the Holocaust and surviving Auschwitz, which it's a very serious book, but there are some slightly humorous parts to it, but it is very serious and it comes in two parts. But when I first bought it, I'd gotten just part one and then part two, got them separately. But now I think if you buy it, it comes in this case where you get both of them. And you have to read both of them because it goes through the whole story. Like the first part only goes up to his father's life in 1944, before he goes to Auschwitz, and then part two is about being in Auschwitz. And this was a very powerful, moving book, and he takes a lot of his father's experiences. But then he also puts his own experiences with his father. And it gives kind of a dual narrative. And then it gives, a great juxtaposition of what the author went through, but then also what his father went through. And why kind of his father is the way he is. But then also, just, how freaking horrible it must have been. And he uses really good analogies too, though. I mean, this is a beautiful, beautiful picture. All of the Jews are drawn as mice. All of the Germans are drawn as cats, and they have other people in there too. I think the Poles are drawn as pigs. The Americans are drawn as dogs, and I mean you can pick out so much in here that is just amazing and beautiful, and it's a really good detailed story about human struggles and human existence. And this was a great part too, where you can see this guy's French, and so he draws him as a frog, but just the way that he detailed about Auschwitz too, about how it wasn't just Jews that were in there. There were actually some Germans, some French, some Poles. It's a tear-jerking book, and people are like, well, how can a comic book move you that much? And this one is amazing. Everyone should read this. This would be a book that I would give to a kid who's 13, 14, who's just getting into reading and serious reading, but he's all he does is read comic books. This is what I'd give him. This, I mean, it seriously really moves you, and that's why I wanted to do it as a book review, even though I had to read it for a class. But I mean, I love this book, and it's really hard for me to in the class that I'm in to analyze it, because I just love it so much, and there's so many beautiful pictures. Here's a part where they first start hanging Jews in the parts of Poland where he was living, and just the horrible things that go on. And it kind of makes it easier to grasp and easier to swallow when it's in a comic book form, and it's, you know, these mice instead of real people. But, you know, you can't separate the idea that these are real people and that this really did happen. And, you know, his father's story, even though, you know, it comes through his son, it's still a very, you know, true, powerful story. It moved me, you know, a lot. And it's rare when a piece of literature moves you so much. And it's even rarer when a comic book moves you so much. And this one is amazing. I mean, if you have never even heard of this, go out and buy it. You know, I mean, even just this picture right here in the front. Like the two mice with the picture of Hitler as a cat. I mean, that's just, oh, it was so amazing. But it has a lot to do also about the father-son relations, though. You know, the way that, you know, fathers and sons get along. And that's another thing that I loved a lot about this book. So I'm not going to tell you how it ends. But, I mean, obviously, if his father told him the story, obviously his father survives. But I'm not going to tell you, you know, any of the major things that happen in this book. I'm just going to show, you know, some parts out of here that I just thought were really beautiful pictures. It's like here, this one is really good too. Like this part at the end, where they're trying to go into Hungary, and they're trying to, you know, get out of Poland, and get into Hungary, and you know the Germans come here and they find him. You know, just he pulls off this mask that's like a pig mask. You know, obviously they didn't wear these type of masks and stuff, but it's a great way to be able to grasp these type of things. It was really moving to me. This is like one of the best pieces of literature I've ever read. You know, with a book, comic book, anything. Please, you know, go buy this. If you don't have money, go to your library. I'm sure they have this. It's an amazing book. I mean, I put this up there with Catcher in the Rye. I put it up there with, you know, like Fahrenheit 451. I put it up with, you know, the To Kill a Mockingbird. You know, these things that really grasp at what it means to be human. It was awesome. Go pick it up. That's all I have to say.